Minister will be going very cheap very soon indeed. It's fair to say, in the words of Andrew Neil, the best British political commentator of his generation, formerly of the BBC and many other parishes, that Keir Starmer is, and I quote, a dead man walking. Although Andrew Neil adds, Labour would prefer it if they could continue as a zombie government, at least for the time being. It would be interesting to see how long the British people are prepared to put up with that. He's a dead man walking for many reasons. It would take me the whole of this monologue to adumbrate them. But he is, in the proximate sense, toast because of a quite remarkable appointment. As I say, not since Caligula appointed his horse, a proconsul of Rome, was a more grotesquely inappropriate appointment made than the appointment of Peter Mandelson, Jeffrey Epstein's close friends, maybe closest of friends, as the British ambassador to Washington, D.C. Such was his determination, no, frenzy, to get that appointment through. He broke every rule in the book, including the cardinal rule of lying to the British Parliament, which he has now on multiple occasions on this affair. If you don't agree, you can sue me. You can sue me, Sir Keir. After all, you know where to find me. The facts are that he has broken not just the rules, not just the spirit, but broken British democracy itself by this appointment. Who or what persuaded Sir Keir Starmer that Peter Mandelson was the only man that we could send as an ambassador to a capital city, albeit an important one, in Washington, D.C. I'm beginning to have my suspicions that the only plausible explanation is a deeply personal one. Deeply personal. I don't know if we'll learn more next week on the trial of the alleged Ukrainian arsonists, on trial at the Old Bailey on Monday for multiple arsoning of the British Prime Minister. His front door, his back door, his vehicles are all alleged to have been attacked by 3 Ukrainian rent boys. We have no idea, because the British media is gagged from telling us, if Sir Keir Starmer had ever met these alleged arsonists, male models, massage parlour Johnnies. We don't know if there's anything deep inside this story, but we surely will find out on Monday, because the 3 men are pleading not guilty and will have to be examined by the prosecution and cross-examined by the defence. And the defence is a high-powered one. So we're bound to be at least a little wiser as to the proclivities of Keir Starmer and whether they have anything to do with the appointment of Peter Mandelson as ambassador to Washington. I'm imagining, you'll have to forgive me, Lord, I'm imagining a kind of Blairite jerk circle in which all the Blairites reach around and look after each other. Because it is a remarkable thing that some of the most significant figures in the whole Blair-Starmer experience are homosexuals. And that may or may not be connected to the arsoning of the Prime Minister, but it's bound to raise suspicions, or at least would raise suspicions, if the British media were not a supine, puerile clique, clack of stenographers and government toadies. It would, if the appropriate notices had not been given to the publishing houses and the broadcasting corporations in Britain to make sure nobody mentions it. But can you imagine if this was me that was arsoned? If this was me that had 3 people appearing at the Old Bailey on Monday in connection with the arsoning of me, can you imagine the amount of information you would already have? You would know the colour of the moustache, never mind anything else, of every single one of these Ukrainian rent boys. You would have been treated to television specials on their proclivities, their activities in London. You would have seen footage of their home villages in the Ukraine. If this was anybody else other than the British Prime Minister who'd been arsoned, you would know so much more. I'm wondering if Lord Wahid Ali is anywhere near the appointment of Peter Mandelson as Britain's ambassador to Washington. Wahid Ali, the Prime Minister's dresser, himself an open homosexual, nonetheless cares enough about women's clothes that he bought the lingerie for Keir Starmer's missus, as well as dressing from top to toe, just the exterior, I presume, of the Prime Minister himself. He donated a penthouse in central London, in Soho, the pink capital of the capital of the UK, for the use of Keir Starmer, so he could get away from it all, just occasionally, so he could put his son in there to study for his final exams at school, if indeed that is the purpose of that flat share. Wahid Ali was appointed to the House of Lords by Tony Blair. He is close to Peter Mandelson, let's put it that way. Close to Wesley Streeting, let's put it that way. Wesley Streeting, another openly gay man who might very well be the new British Prime Minister in a week or two. As I say, maybe or maybe not, we'll know more next week. But if not for deeply personal reasons, what conceivable reason could there have been to persuade Keir Starmer, Sir Keir Starmer, a former chief prosecutor in the United Kingdom, a King's Counsel, that it was worth risking it all and losing it for Peter Mandelson to base your entire premiership and its survival on the good character of Peter Mandelson, a man who had been twice sacked in disgrace from British cabinets, despite the fact that he could not have had a closer relationship with Tony Blair and Gordon Brown, the 2 prime ministers who appointed him. So you risked it all on this louche lounge lizard of dubious morals and a track record as long as your arm. You really risked it all for Peter Mandelson? You gambled it all for Peter Mandelson? I can think of no reason other than deeply personal ones that persuaded Keir Starmer of that course of action. Donald Trump is in deep